do we need to do as parents to be informed and to protect our kids? What do you think is necessary to keep up with all of this? Communication. We need to be informed ourselves. We need to, familiarize ourselves with these type of terms. We need to be snoops. We need to be checking their cell phones. The research recommends highly that to not really allow your children to have computers in their bedrooms. They say, they recommend it, if you're going to have a computer in the home, put it in a location that's visible so that you're not standing over their shoulder watching every single thing that they're doing, but you can walk by and you can monitor what's happening on the screen. And it just keeps it safer. If your child does have a laptop, I know it's becoming more common that students are, taking laptops to school, and I think that trend is going to increase as the time goes on. But they're saying check their laptops, check their history of what they're searching on the internet, see what types of documents they have saved on their computer. And they say to do that regularly, because you're never really going to know what they're searching or what they're looking at if you don't check. And then they also recommend, if your child has an account on Facebook or they're involved on Twitter or some of these sites, that parents should also have an account and be participating and respond to things that your kids are posting and let them know that you're active and you're present in that world. And that will kind of keep them in check as well, and they'll know that you're monitoring what they're doing.
One of the things that kids do is they have multiple accounts. So they have the one that, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa can get on, and then they have the real one, which is where, they're really posting. They're going to friend you.
But if your computer is located somewhere centrally in your home, you will be able to kind of monitor and see. But if they're hiding in their room and they're hiding behind their cell phone doing that, that's where you need to step up and be checking and following through and see what they're really involved with. There was also, I kind of just looked on the websites for like AT&T and Verizon Wireless, and they have a lot of security measures that you can have added to the plans for your children. I can't remember which one, but they even, I think it was Verizon, they had these zones that you could set up for your children. Like zone 1 could be school, you could set up zone 2, could be like your neighborhood or certain specified streets, and it will actually send your phone a text message if your child leaves that zone, and it won't let the child know, but it's just like a protective mechanism, so you can kind of, keep dibs on what's happening or where they are. So it's just something to think about, but I would check, whoever is your service provider, and check what types of security things they have. They also have different filters for different age levels for your kids. So if you do let them have internet access on their phone, they do have different levels of what types of access or things get filtered through their phone. So I would check on that, and most of them are free. They don't charge you any money, but you do have to request it. But it wasn't too difficult to look. I just found it right online when I went to their main site. So I just think that this is a really interesting topic, and I think there's so much that's happening and changing every day with our technology, and it's really important that we be informed and we be active participants with our children with this, so that we can guide them in the right directions and they can make smart decisions. They can learn how to communicate with real people and not be hiding behind the screen and maybe saying things that they wouldn't ordinarily say or feel comfortable saying face to face. So any other comments or questions?
I do have a comment. There's some, I don't know what it is, a program or a website or whatever called FormSpring. And that's like a cyberbullying paradise for like kids.
I've seen it, where they ask questions.
Yeah, you can access it through Facebook too.
What's it called?
FormSpring.
And kids are allowed, kids and whoever that's following and has access to you, can post comments on your wall or whatever it's called, anonymously. And I've seen, in my particular case, like with my daughter, people, they started a hate group for her and stuff like that. People posting really nasty things, so that's one thing that And you know, I had my daughter coming to me crying, you know, so I mean, it's
Well, it really impacts them. I think especially teenagers, because friendships are so important to them at that age. And when they feel that they're being rejected or they're receiving these negative comments, it's very detrimental to them, even more so than, you know, to an adult or somebody. I mean, it would be detrimental to us as well, but even more so to a teenager. So
you're setting yourself up for that, you know, if you have a place where people can post anonymously, because, I mean, a lot of people that won't say it to the face will say it.
well, that's where I would maybe have a conversation with her and say, well, what are you benefiting from participating in this site? You know, what is the good that's coming out of it? And maybe you can have her make the decision that maybe she doesn't want to do that anymore. You know, but if you kind of ask them the questions and get them to make the decision by themselves, I think that's more effective with teenagers than rather you just telling them, you know, you shouldn't do that anymore, or I don't think that's a good idea. But if you kind of lead them and get them to kind of come up with the idea that maybe it's not such a good place for her to be spending time, then maybe she'll just decide on her own that it's not really a good time spender.
And also, you know, she got blamed. I mean, I'm saying because these are potential things that can happen to anybody, any kid. She got blamed for something that I know for a fact she didn't post it anonymously on somebody's wall because we were not even in the house. Or she didn't have, I mean, we were at the amphitheater, you know. So, I mean, things can deteriorate.
But you know, that's security setting, because I know what you're saying. If you didn't set your security, everybody can pretend it's you, because they can get in your site and put that on there. I mean, you have to block that, because then it's not possible. But yeah, that's all settings. So, I know with kids especially.
Another thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the research was they also recommended that because of the sleep deprivation that teenagers are facing with their cell phones and all the distractions, is they recommend you set a time, whatever time it is you choose at night, if it's 9 o'clock or 9:30, that they have to turn off their cell phone, and you have like a basket or you have a place where everybody turns off their phones and it just stays in that spot for the night, and just everybody knows that it's not necessary. You don't need to be texting with your friends past whatever time you decide is right for your family, but that eliminates them being distracted in their sleep and feeling the need to constantly text and communicate with their friends, because they don't need to do it after a certain time of night. It's just not necessary. So you have to be strong and set the limits and be involved, and that's it. So thank you.